happy New Year's Eve to all of you. And here's to wishing you a happy 2021. May you manifest all the love, the happiness, the good health, the money, because we need the money. Where the money resides, I hope the money resides in 2021. So happy New Year to all of you. So I'm not going to make this a long video, but I certainly want to go ahead and get into this topic because I saw it trending. It was a hashtag, renting to kids. And so this is what set it off. This woman, Dimpleface, she said, parents charging their kids rent when the parents don't even need the money will always be viewed as unacceptable to me. And so what do you guys think about that? How do you take that as such? Because I'm a parent, and I'm sure a lot of you guys that are watching this channel are parents. You know my age range. I'm 45. I've never, hit that. And obviously I have a grown child that does not live with me, okay? But how do you feel about that? She says it teaches them responsibility. No, it teaches them that even their own parents will exploit them to make more money, not out of necessity, but out of greed. And she says charging your kids rent has nothing to do with love languages. And you're going to see some tweets come up with people that are agreeing with her. But what do you think about that? Do you think that if a parent charges a grown child rent when they don't need the money, that it's wrong? Do you feel that it's wrong to charge a grown child that is in your house any money is wrong? Do you think that it teaches responsibility if you do have them take on like maybe a bill or something like that? Or do you feel like, listen, taking their money when I don't need it does what? They were already living here. So how do you feel about that? So I'm just, like I said, I'm just showing you guys some tweets. It says you don't owe your parents anything. They looked after you for 18 years because they are your legal guardian. Okay. This said, why would we owe your parents something? Why would you owe your parents something as a young adult, especially in your first few years of working, if they already were well off? Why should anyone feel a demand or an order to do that? And so a lot of these tweets, there were a ton of them, but I just nabbed a few of them because I definitely wanted to get you guys' views on this. And if this is something that you personally know, you personally feel. Okay, it says you shouldn't need to pay rent for your parents to treat you as an adult. Now, let me tell you this. My son, he's like in his, he's 21. And he moved out when he was 18. So it happened gradually. It is not like he just came up and said, hey, Mom, I'm leaving. It wasn't kind of like that. So he started kind of just like bumming the couch from his friend. They were going to school together. At this time he had started college. He had started just staying on his friend's couch because they both lived, he was closer to campus. And eventually he was just gone. He never just came back. And at first I was like, well, why would you move out and shack up with a whole bunch of boys? Oh, dirty little nasty boys. Because I know that they had to be just a bunch of them up in there. When you could have just stayed at home. You could have just stayed at home and and that was because that was how I thought about it. It was like, well, I'm sure you're going to have to be responsible for some money over there. So why couldn't you do it at home and you could have your own room? And then I realized after a while that it was actually the best thing that he could have done is actually to move out, because I think our relationship, we get along great because when he was home, he was a teenager. We was always into it. Got two Scorpios butting heads. Boom, 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 all the time. Me and my son have a great relationship, right? And I get to see him all the time. I get to see the baby all the time. But here's the thing. I never charged him when he became 18. I never was like, oh, you got to get out. I never was like, you have to go. That was never what I was going to do or how I wanted to do it. Because in my mind, I wanted him to stay and get himself together as best he could. Now, that doesn't mean that if he was working, that I didn't want him to at least, you eating up all the food, at least contribute something. But I wasn't going to have my hand out like, here, okay, you owe me $200 a month. But I also don't have necessarily a problem with a parent who may feel that that's what they need to do to teach their kids responsibility. Because listen here, if your grown adult child is living at home and they know that they can jack off their money because they don't have to pay for a phone, they don't have to pay gas, light, water, rent, mortgage, whatever, they're going to jack it off, a lot of them. They're not going to save it. So a part of me understands why a parent would say, hey, here, you need to give me at least $100, whatever it is. You need to give me something because you are an adult and you should learn responsibility. Now, I moved out of my parents' house. I think I was 22, 21, 22, somewhere in there after graduation. I was ready to go. I was ready to go because I knew that, coming in at 3 o'clock in the morning just wasn't going to cut it forever and ever and ever. I just knew that, right? And I wanted to be able to have my own space to do whatever I wanted to do. But even in that, my parents, and I worked, my parents never asked a dime of me. And it never dawned on me that they ever would. It just never happened. It just never happened. Right. And I don't even know if they even thought about it, but it never happened. And I never paid my parents a dime. And even when I came back home after having my son, they never asked a dime. They never asked a dime. And that was just their approach of it. But I could understand a parent who may want to say, you know what? I feel like it will teach my kid responsibility if I do say, hey, you need to at least give me something. Now, here's my take, or here's what I would look at it like. If my son had stayed home, because I do understand that I wasn't taught financial responsibility or fiscal responsibility when I was coming up. Maybe my parents didn't know how to do it. But now that I have a better understanding of it, if my adult child decided to stay, what I would do is if I did have them give me something, I would not use that as rent. I would actually put that money up for them so that they could go off, and when it is time for them to leave the nest, that they would have a nice amount of change to go and do what they needed to do. Because the argument here for some of these tweets is that we don't have a leg up in our community because we take money from our kids when they are living with us. And that's why other communities have a leg up, because they send their kids out, in the world with more money because they're not giving it to their parents. And I'm here to say that I think there's a balance there. There could be a balance. I do think that if you don't ever give them any responsibility, a lot of these young adults will jack off their money. Like, listen, we living this is Generation X right now or something? Z? No, it's Generation Z. They are the F this job generation. And so they will continue to get job after job after job. Some of them won't even work if you don't say nothing. So what are you teaching them if you don't give them any responsibility at all? Nothing. So I kind of see both sides of that. Like I said, I came from parents who did not charge me anything. But I also understand that if you don't ever teach your kids some kind of responsibility, that perhaps they'll go out in the world unprepared. So I don't know. This is a very interesting conversation that I certainly, like I said, wanted to bring to you guys. And how do you feel about that? Personally, if you have a personal experience with this, do you feel that parents should make their kids pay something? If they are living in your house and they are grown adults, can you imagine? You got a 30-year-old child living in your house and they ain't paying nothing? I mean, I just think that's too much. I can't imagine my 30-year-old child in my crib and they not contributing in any kind of way. And all I see is the Uber Eats driver pulling up every time because they know that they ain't got shit to pay for. They could just eat their money away. I don't necessarily know if that is good either. I don't necessarily think that's a good thing, because hopefully that kid will go out into the world and they will have a real rude awakening if they ain't even learning how to budget and how to pay for certain stuff. I don't think that there's anything wrong with maybe saying, hey, listen, I want you to give me an X amount and I'm going to put it away. I'm going to put it in an account for you. We're going to just start an account. We're going to put this away. So when you are ready to go out there in this world, You will be handed all of this. So you will be prepared and you will have this. But you can't just sit here for years and years and years and eat up all the food and never do nothing and never contribute anything. Ever. So I would love to hear what you guys think about this, because this is interesting to me. What do you guys think? Sound off below. Let me know, because I know y'all will. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. And Happy New Year. See you in 2021. Bye.